Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting of the Planning Commission to order. If we'll have the roll call, please.
Pat Dorr,
Here.
Jim Shumpert, Diane Singer,
Here.
Dion Jones,
Here.
Kimberly Remack,
Here.
Steve Stratton,
Here.
Donnie Singh.
Here.
Okay, you've received in your packets the minutes of the October 10th meeting. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be made to the minutes? If not, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
We'll have a motion by Ms. Remack to approve the minutes of the October 10th meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Singer. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then it's approved and the minutes are approved for the record. First of all, I'd just like to welcome everybody that's here today. It's good to see extra people in the room tonight. So we do have 4 items on the agenda that have been recommended to be tabled to the next meeting, which will be in December. So we will present those 4 items first. That way, if there are any of those items that you're here for, you won't have to wait for them to be tabled. So we will do that. So first of all, and the new business is item number 1. It's an application to vacate the existing Argos 3-lot subdivision submitted by Nick Croonan Civil Inc. on behalf of Mark Matthews, John Mark LLC property owner. The 7.01 plus or minus subject property is zone R3 Planned Residential District and is located on the north side of College Road and just west of Highway 305. And the applicant has requested to table this until December the 12th, 2023. So I need a motion from one of the commissioners to table this until December 12th.
Make a motion to table.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Jones to table this item. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mr. Singh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then the motion carries and item number 1 is tabled until the December meeting. The second item is an application for a final plat for Argos 1 lot subdivision submitted by Nick Croonan Civil Inc. on behalf of Mark Matthews, John Mark LLC property owner. The request is to create a single lot of 2.17 plus or minus acres. The subject property is zone R3 Planned Residential District and is located on the north side of College Road just west of Highway 305. And once again, the applicant requests to table this until the December 12th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion to table this to that meeting?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Remack to table this to December the 12th. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, second by the Santa Stereo here. Second by Mr. Stratton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries, and this application is will be tabled until the December meeting. If we can move on to item number 6. There we go. Item number 6 is an application for a zoning map amendment submitted by Nick Croonan Civil Inc. on behalf of property owner Scott Vanderberg. The request is to rezone the proposed Lot 2 of the Vanderberg Commercial Subdivision, Phase 2, containing 41.21 plus or minus acres from O Office District and C2 Highway Commercial District to R4 Multifamily Residential District, and to adopt the site development plan for Vanderburg Flats for the purpose of creating 410 multifamily residential units. The property is located between Highway 302 and Goodman Road East, approximately a quarter mile west of Hacks Crossroads. And the applicant has requested table this until the December 12th, 2023 meeting. So I need a motion from one of the commissioners to do so on that.
Make a motion to table. Make a motion to table.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Jones to table this until December the 12th. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second by Ms. Singer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then the motion carries, and this item will be tabled until the December 12th meeting. Item number 7 is an application for a preliminary plat for Vandenberg Commercial Subdivision Phase 2 submitted by Nick Croonan Civil Link on behalf of property owner Scott Vandenberg. The request is to create 5 lots from a 50.97 plus or minus acre property. The intent is to use 1 lot for multifamily residential development and the others for commercial purposes. The subject property is located between Highway 302 and Goodman Road East, approximately ¼ mile west of Hacks Cross Road. And once again, the applicant is requested to table this item until the December 12th, 2023 meeting. So I need a motion to table this item
So moved.
to that day. We have a motion by Ms. Remack. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Singer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries, and item number 7, application number 7 is tabled until the December 12th, 2023 meeting. So if you're here for any of those items, we wanted to go ahead and table those ahead of time. So if you wish to leave early, you can do so. All right, now we're back to the new business, item number 3. We have an application for a zoning map amendment submitted by Joseph Eccles on behalf of Patricia Bogan Taylor and Ruby Bogan Harvey property owners. The request is to rezone the 2.02 plus or minus acre subject property from R2 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multifamily Residential District, and to adopt the site development plan for a 12-unit multifamily townhomes gated community. The property is located at the southwest corner of West Sandage and Humphrey Drive, known as 7841 West Sandage Road. And now we'll ask for the staff presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This application and the following application, item number 4 on the agenda, are number 4 is linked to this application. Item number 4 is a final plat. Both of these items will be required to be tabled due to we require a notice sign for rezoning reports or applications. The sign was not put out 10 days prior to the meeting to notarize the public of what was happening, and so just letting you know that it is that this item and item number 4 will need to be tabled, but I still wanted to present this item to the board just so y'all have an overall understanding of what is occurring. Here we have an aerial view of the site. It's currently it's located off of West Sandage Road to the west here, and this is Ross Road. Oh, let me get my laser pointer. You have West Sandage Road right here and Ross Road. Here's the subject property. And around here to the west, the south, and to the east was recently approved for the Olive Branch RV Park, PUD. So just to kind of get your bearings of where the site is located. Some background on the property with some existing photos of the site. The property was annexed in the city in 1969, and from around 1974 up until 2 years ago, there was a single family home on the site that has since been demolished. The site is currently vacant. Like I stated, item number 4, there's associated final plat application with this associated with this rezoning. There are public utilities available off of West Sandage Road as well as access to the site. The current land uses of the surrounding property include the Sandage Hill apartments to the north There is a commercially zoned property to the east of the subject property that is vacant. To the south, there is vacant land, and like I stated, also the recently approved Olive Branch RV Park PUD, and the same to the west. The purpose of this application is to construct 12 multifamily duplex units on 2.2 or around 2.2 acres. The criteria for the rezoning include number one, the original zoning classification for the property was a mistake. The applicant in their submitted letter to us does not make a claim that the original zoning for this property was a mistake. The subject property was zoned, staff has found that the subject property was zoned R2 in 2000 for a citywide rezoning map that was adopted by the Board of Aldermen. There have been no zoning mistakes that have been asserted in the past, and records do not show that it has been rezoned since. The second criteria is the character of the neighborhood has changed to justify the rezoning. The applicants in their letter say that since their parents actually purchased the property in 1960, the character of the area has changed from just strictly single-family residential to a mixture of multifamily dwellings and commercial and industrial usages. So if you look here where my laser pointer is, the multifamily apartments, the Sandage Hill apartments are in this orange area. We have more single family to the west, as well as industrial uses from the south to the east. And there's a commercial hub, you could say, over in this area on the southeastern corner of the West Sandage Road and Ross Road intersection. Staff would agree with the applicant's statement. Many of the surrounding properties to the east, or many properties within the area have been rezoned from single family to light industrial and commercial within the last 20 years. A majority of these industrial zone properties have large warehouse and distribution centers on them. In this purple area we see here, like I stated, the RV park, Olive Branch RV Park, was recently approved, and that was rezoned from R2 to a PUD. And this will provide a commercial recreational use between the residential areas to the surrounding area and industrial uses to the east. If the property were developed, the proposed development would be located across from the Sandage Hill multifamily apartments, and these apartments have existed since the 80s. And these would, the clustering, you could say, of the multifamily units would provide a transitional area between the single family to the northeast and west, and the commercial and industrial uses to the northeast and the south. Third criteria is the public need exists for the rezoning. The applicant states that the industrial footprint in the Sandage Road community brings with it a public need for the rezoning. Staff has found that the future land use map of the 2040 comp plan designates this area, as you can see here in yellow, as suburban neighborhood, which includes single-family detached housing and a maximum density of 4 dwelling units per acre. And they typically include urban roadway sections like curb, gutter, and sidewalk. As proposed, the development density would be for this project would be around 5.9 dwelling units per acre, which that does not deviate significantly from the suburban neighborhood character of the area, especially with other medium density development like the Sandage Hill apartments to the north. Other characteristics about the proposed development that are typical in single-family areas, suburban neighborhood areas, include the fact that they will be 2-story buildings each with a private 2-car garage, sidewalks, and recreational areas. The future land use plan also recognizes the need for a diversification of housing stock, and duplexes offer just that. They are typically very compatible in size with the size and scale of single-family neighborhoods. and the architectural features like this stock plan that is shown above. This was not drawn by specifically for this project, but is just giving a glimpse of what it could be. The architectural features of what are proposed resemble single-family homes with private front door entrances, garages, and porticos. In total, as you can see here on the site plan, there are 12 units proposed within 6 buildings, and so it would be 2 units per building. The development will also be gated and contain a 6-foot-high composite fence and contain recreational amenities such as a playground or pavilion to the southwest corner of the site. And these characteristics overall contribute to the suburban neighborhood designated area that the comp plan provided, while also diversifying that city's housing stock. There's also additional criteria for the R4 district. The first one being the conservation of natural resources. The subject property has no historical relevance or scenic views. However, a dense population of trees do exist on the site, so something to consider. The second is the provision of safe vehicular and pedestrian transportation. The proposed development will have a single gated private 25-foot wide driveway onto the property from West Sandage Road. The city engineer opted for a 30-foot wide driveway. However, in the absence that there will be on-street parking, a 20-foot wide driveway was decided upon, and the city engineer agreed with this. 5-foot sidewalks are also proposed from West Sandage Road into the site and connect to each unit. The third criteria is the provision of sufficient open space. The applicant has provided open space in this recreational area that my laser pointer is hovering. This will include either a gathering pavilion or a playground. There's also additional open space in the landscaped areas in the site plan. The fourth criteria is adequate drainage facilities. The R4 zoning district does not have a maximum impervious surface ratio. There is a detention basin on this area to the southeast of the site, and the city engineer shall verify that this basin will be sufficient to support the drain water associated with this property during the full civil plans review. The fifth criteria is the compatibility of the site design and land use within the existing area and for future development. Majority, like I stated earlier, the majority of the uses are single-family residential homes within the area, as well as commercial and industrial uses. The proposed scale and design of these multifamily units resemble that of single-family homes. With many industrial uses in the area, the proposed development offers those employed by these uses a place to live that's close to their work, and while also screening the development with the 6-foot-high composite fence, which adds security and privacy. The sixth criteria is adequate community facilities. Water, gas, and electricity are located in vicinity to the site, and with only a total number of proposed dwelling units being 12, any impact to schools should be minimal. And 7, conformance to the comp plan and zoning ordinance. The comp plan designates the area suburban residential. While the proposed family development unit is considered medium density, like stated earlier, their overall design and scale of the development would not take away from the suburban residential future land use designation of the property. Since we just have, these are the conditions outlined in the initial recommendation, but like stated earlier, the item will need to be tabled for due process to have that sign put up. And this goes for the item number 4 as well for the final plat. Essentially, just giving a brief overview, it meets the zoning criteria, bulk regulations for the area, or for the R4 zoning district. For transportation, a private driveway is proposed off of West Sandage Road, as well as there are internal driveways, and each unit would have their own garage. Utilities are located off of West Sandage Road. There is no bond or no construction of new public streets or utilities are required for this subdivision, so a bond or financial guarantee is not needed. The applicant does not request a variance or deviation, nor does the city find one is necessary, and the same goes for waivers. The recommendation for this item is to also table it to next month's Planning Commission meeting, and that concludes my presentation for these two items.
Is there any questions from the commissioners to staff before we have a motion on recommendation to table? No items. Then I'll need a motion to table the application number 3 as well as the application number 4, which is the application for a final plat for Bogan One Lot subdivision. We can do the two together. To table this application until the December 12th, 2023 meeting. And the reason is to allow a sign to be placed on the property. So do we have a motion for that?
Make a motion to table.
We have a motion by Mr. Jones to table the application until December the 12th, 2023. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Stratton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then the motion carries, and items number 3 and items number 4, applications 3 and 4, will be tabled to the December meeting. So that moves us to item number 5, which is an application to amend the project text and development plan for Dancing Oaks submitted by Tony Jones Realty, on behalf of John White, property owner. The request is to allow a truck stop as a permitted use on a portion of 7.0 plus or minus acre parcel zone C4 planned commercial district. The subject property is located on the east side of Hacks Cross Roads, just north of Progress Way. We'll have the staff presentation.
Thank you, sir. Before you is a request to consider an application for a truck stop, so to speak, at the northeast intersection of Hacks Cross Road. This is Hacks Cross Road heading north and south, and Progress Way extending east and west. Currently at that intersection, there is this parcel, which is about 17 acres, and the proposal is to locate that use on about a 7-acre parcel that will be created should this application go through. The property, as you see on this area view, is located in an area east of Hacks Cross Road that is essentially industrial. Now, this application before you is somewhat deceptive. It is deceptive in the sense that if you follow the zoning ordinance very strictly, the way it reads for a truck stop, in the definition of a truck stop, it says a truck stop is a use that the primary use of the property, when you're zoning it, its primary use is for trucks to be fueled, repaired, or service trucks on that particular piece of property. So that has to be the primary purpose of that piece of property for you to call it a truck stop. This application is really in front of you because last year when the Board of Aldermen came up with the new regulations requiring convenience store with gas pumps to become conditional uses in other districts, it kind of made a distinction between convenience store with gas pumps and truck stops with two main requirements that are applicable to truck stops. One, the property has to be at least 2 acres, and 2, the property has to be within half mile of a truck route. Generally, that will go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment for them to make that determination. If they make the determination that a property meets those two conditions, then, of course, you also have the third element, which is it has to be at a signalized intersection. If the Board of Zoning Adjustment makes a determination that those three conditions are met, then the board approves it. The reason this is not before the Board of Zoning Adjustment is rather before you is because this has to do also with a project text, the changing of a project text, which is a zoning action. However, the review conditions are the same. The property has to be minimum 2 acres, it has to be within half mile of a truck route, and it has to be at a signalized intersection. As a matter of fact, in the case of PDs, plan development, it's not even required to be at signalized intersections. The Board of Aldermen has discretion to approve it if it is a signalized intersection or not. In this particular case, with respect to this property, the project text for Dancing Oaks PD, plan development, that was approved by the Board of Supervisors in the county in 2008, which is all this verbiage or language written here in black, already permits a convenience store with gas pumps as a use by right. What that means is this developer can go in tomorrow and break ground and start constructing a convenience store with gas pumps. Nobody can stop that. That cannot be stopped. The regulations already permit, you say, uses permitted. And among those uses permitted, use number 6 says convenience store with or without gas pumps. So that is already permitted on the property. It can happen tomorrow morning. That nobody, staff cannot stop that, planning commission cannot stop that, Board of Aldermen cannot stop that. It's already permitted. The amendment is what you have underlined, which I've put here in blue, which is an truck stop, which is really the parking element, if I can put it that way. And both uses, this clause is very important. Both uses only at the northeast intersection, northeast corner of the intersection of Progress Way and Hacks Cross Road. This is important because of this slide. All of this area, extending down across Nay Road, including Nay Road, all of this area is part of that PD. Anywhere in this area, you can have a convenience store with gas pumps tomorrow morning. You can have a convenience store with gas pumps at the Progress Way intersection. You can have a convenience store with gas pumps at the Nay Road intersection. That can happen tomorrow morning, nobody can stop it. But with this amendment, these will only be permitted. So if this amendment were to go through, convenience store with gas pumps on this property will henceforth only be permitted at this intersection of Progress Way and Hacks Cross Road. What that means is, by approving this project text, you are actually making it more restrictive. Instead of having a situation where you could have 2 convenience stores with gas pumps there, you are making it restrictive to 1. In 2008, as I did indicate, when this project text was approved, the character of the area is basically what you have on this picture to the left. So this site was retail PD, which you recently approved as Oaktown PD, plan development, mixed use. This is the site. The rest of the property surrounding this particular area was basically agricultural land. That's what you had there at the time. Zoning is not static. Usually zoning codes are written to respond to the reality that you have in front of you at that particular time. As years go and changes are made, character of areas change, zoning also changes to accommodate the changes within the surroundings. Today in 2023, you can see that all of this area has become industrial. So what was envisioned at the time to just simply be something that would provide convenience to the immediate residential area to the west, today, there is need for it to also cater for the over 6 million square feet of industrial warehouses that have now been created to the east. So this particular amendment, so to speak, has, the reason for it is responding to and accommodating to the east the industrial development that has now been created in that particular area. This is akin to Quick Trip. If you just think about Quick Trip out there, you've got the industrial park and then Quick Trip at the front of the park, at the entrance to the park. This is the same kind of concept that you have. The zoning ordinance, as I did indicate, provides a number of conditions for you to review and determine whether those conditions are met in approving this particular application. The first is whether there is consistency with the minimum development standards of the C4 district. Those are the standards that were provided in the project text for Dancing Oaks PD when it was approved. None of those is requested to be changed. So there is no change being requested to the development standards. That includes things like buffers and so on, setbacks, height limitations. None of those is requested to be changed, so no effect. The second is that the Planning Commission determined that the request has actually been made by the property owner. The application was actually submitted by Dr. John White and the family, so that particular request, which is the property owner, that particular condition has been met. The third condition is for the board to determine whether to look at traffic conditions and the general public welfare in terms of, as I did indicate, is this within a truck route, and Progress Way and Hacks Cross Road are all truck routes. Currently, what you have on that side with respect to trucks, to get to a filling station or a truck stop, if I can use that term, from the Legacy Park Industrial Park, if you take the blue route, the nearest is at Flying J to the south, which is 2.3 miles. That's the route trucks currently take. That's the distance they drive down. And then they drive back to 302 to head east, or they continue on 178 heading east. So you've got that to and fro movement out of that park if they want to get to any kind of picking of gas, so to speak. If they don't do that, with the new Quick Trip, they will take a 5.0 mile distance to get to Quick Trip. That is the second nearest location that you have from that particular Legacy Park. If you don't do that, you take a more treacherous 7.39 miles to Bluebird off of New Craft Road. By this amendment, what the city will basically do is create this industrial park situation over here, where trucks from this Legacy Park, all they need to do is to be serviced, receive commercial services at the park area, get back on Park Lane, and exit the city. So through this amendment, over 15 miles of truck driving across the city will be eliminated. The fifth is for the board to determine whether you have public services such as water, sewer available on the site. Those are all available in the industrial park, and it will be the responsibility of the developer to further extend them, if they are not, into the property. As I did indicate, the site already permits convenience store with gas pumps, so the developer will be doing that. The last condition is for the board to determine whether the proposed development or amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The map before you is the future land use map of the city, which basically determines what the Board of Aldermen Planning Commission has recommended and the Board of Aldermen has established as what the city wants to see each parcel in the city used for, so to speak. This particular site is designated for industrial activities and distribution, which of course involves trucking activities. There is no way you can have industrial activities if you don't have trucks. So the proposed amendment in that regard, the proposer is consistent with the future land use map in the comprehensive plan. Upon finding, staff's recommendation, upon the finding that the character of the area adjacent to the subject property to the east has changed from agricultural to industrial, that a comprehensive plan designates the property for industrial distribution activities that include trucking support services, that the proposed development has the potential to reduce truck traffic congestion on public streets in the city, as I did explain, and all other criteria for the amendment of the project text in the C4 districts have been met. Staff recommends approval subject to these conditions 1 to 4. 1, that the precise location of driveways along Progress Way and Hacks Cross Road shall be as will be determined by the city engineer. Secondly, because you still have to have the full site plan review. Secondly, all development standards of the Dancing Oaks plan development regarding but not limited to buffers and bulk regulations, those are things like height limitations, setbacks, and so on, are maintained. Third, any freestanding business sign on the property will be maximum 12 feet high. Right now, they can have up to 25 feet high. So these will limit it to maximum 12 foot and monument style. Right now, they can do monopole 25 feet. And lastly, a subdivision plat creating the site as a subdivision lot must be submitted to the Planning Commission for its recommendation and approved by the Board of Aldermen, recorded before the building permit may be issued for any development on the property. What this means is this application is still going to come back to you for the subdivision process approval. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Is there any questions of staff? If there are no questions of staff, we'll open it for public hearing. Is there someone here to represent the application? If you'll please come forward.
My name's Tony Jones. I live at 6320 Timber Oaks Drive. I'm here representing the White family. I'll be glad to add anything that you might, questions that you might have, or comments that I can share with you.
Any questions of Mr. Jones?
I have one question. The last page of the packet is a site landscape plan, which basically shows the building and the parking and all that. Is this the overall plan that is being presented? Is this just is this the way the convenience store and the parking will look?
That's what you propose? Yes, that's the plan, yes, sir.
And just to clarify that, Mr. Chairman, that is generally conceptual. What you have before you is conceptual. Few changes, some changes can be made on it when you get down to detailed engineer design. For example, the engineer may get into grading and stormwater management and then realize you have to adjust one or two things on the plans. And also, certain things can be added on that plan if the board requires it to be added.
I was just noticing the truck parking, that was all. I was wondering, there's 16 spots, and I just was asking whether that's the concept or whether that's something that can be changed moving forward.
As I did indicate, the concept is generic, like the number, it can be changed. It must not be 16. What the board is really looking at, it's more of, okay, you're going to have truck parking out there, so to speak, in terms of the use. Now, the exact number, that is usually changed when you get into issues of design, when you get into the details of design.
Any other questions? No further questions. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Jones. Okay, now we'll open for public discussion. If there's anyone here that wishes to speak in favor of the application or anyone wishes to speak against this application, you can come forward now. We do ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less and try not to repeat anything that's previously stated in the essence of time, and only one trip to the podium. So if you wish to come forward, state your name and address and your comments, please.
Good evening. My name is Jermaine Duncan. My zip code, I stay at 10890 Wiseman Drive. Pretty much a new subdivision. I just heard about this truck stop of power about a few weeks ago about what's happening and everything like that. And I was thinking from a perspective, a landowner, anything like that. Everybody understand about property values and from a historical standpoint as well, what truck stops do in the area or any area in general. From just high traffic, he was talking about the goal is to minimize traffic in the area and stuff like that. From the tricks, I think it was 5 miles away, and then the location, the pile that's down the road is 2 miles away. But in our area right now, it's high traffic right now. I got kids and stuff to just get on the bus in that area and stuff like that. So you put a truck stop in that area, basically that's a safety issue and stuff like that with big 18-wheelers, sometimes hard to stop, right in front of my subdivision. And the subdivision he's talking about, the truck stop gonna be right next to the land map he's proposed was in 2008. The subdivision has developed big time now. The houses in that area is over $500,000. So basically the goal is basically even from the city ordinance, the code ordinance from Olive Branch itself says they think chapter 36 of planning goal 1, it says basically to maintain home value. If you put a truck stop, everybody already know high noise levels, decimals gonna lower your property value, because anytime you look to buy a home and stuff like that, you always look for location. Who's gonna buy the home? I'm thinking about my neighbors and everything like that. Who's gonna buy a home when it's got high traffic volume in your house right next to 18-wheelers and stuff like that? Because his truck stop is right in front of the new subdivision that's been developed. I think it's been in effect for about 20 years or so, but they building a bunch of new homes and stuff like that. And I just purchased my home probably about last year, and a bunch of other people purchasing their home, and we paying upwards of almost $500,000 or more. So that means you bring that right, that means our property value, when I get ready to resell my home, I'm not gonna get the same value of that property and stuff like that, because who wanna stop and go to a neighborhood where you can't barely can get in because it's gonna be high traffic in that area. And then when you try to, so basically the goal is basically when I give my kids and stuff like that, that means when I leave this world, I want to leave my kids something and stuff. I want to give them the house. So they basically gonna get less money for the house that I paid for and stuff like that, because we decided, okay, we got this zoning area, we want to minimize traffic, but it didn't minimize traffic, it actually increased traffic in that area and stuff like that. I understand that we talking about zoning ordinance and stuff like that, but this area is up and coming and stuff. And you putting a truck stop, from the information I have read and everything like that about different aspects of truck stop, the adverse effects and stuff, is noise pollution, can affect crime rate and stuff like that. So that means people next door at the truck stop and stuff like that, they come in the neighborhood. That means you got new people coming in the area and stuff like that. No crime in our area pretty much right now. They saying, oh, we got big giant house of 5,000 square foot, stuff like that. Let's go in that neighborhood. Next thing you bring a crime to our area and stuff like that. I have to take that in account. So everything with that truck stop he's talking about and stuff, I understand it's prioritized for a gas station or whatever and stuff like that, but they got plenty of area, without seeing on that map and stuff like that, they got plenty of areas to move the truck stop away from our homes and that affects. Because I have to walk, my daughter is on the main Hex Cross. I walk her up to the road every day to get on the bus. Bus stops right in front of that. So you talking about we're gonna put a truck stop right there in that area and stuff. That means it's a room for danger and stuff like that. I can get my child or somebody else can get hurt in that area and stuff. So it's a lot of things that affects us. And the main goal of it is basically increasing my property value, because most people in life from the 1950s, we upper middle class. And I don't think nobody in our neighborhood bought their home to say, okay, I'm gonna buy my home, but my property value gonna drop 50% in the long run. I don't think nobody would want that to happen in their neighborhoods and stuff like that. If you understand the history of what trucking come, I'm not knocking what you're talking about the trick stop across on Goodman and all that, but at the same time, it's other areas that they can put the truck stop and stuff like that that won't affect us. Because at the end of the day, and from my understanding, I think from 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, you actually got to have a noise barrier for it, because the decimal levels of a truck stop, the 18-wheelers, dBs per, that's very loud and stuff like that. So my neighbors right up there at the road and stuff like that, think about how they gonna feel. Are they gonna be able to sleep or anything like that at nighttime? Or in the daytime when they gotta go to work and everything? It affects everybody as a whole, from economic standpoint to safety, and then other things that you may not see for right now, that can affect us in the long run from a truck stop area. So and then I think when they did do the truck stop and let us know about the paper, I didn't actually get the paper. Most of my neighbors didn't even get the paperwork. The sheet to let us know they were gonna have a town meeting about this. I had to have one neighbor up there. I think it was only 2 people in my whole subdivision that got the letter just saying how we want to have a town hall. So I'm looking at this kind of skeptical as well, saying what's going on. So it's just something that if my realtor told, oh, by the way, we're gonna build a truck stop in here and stuff like that. So even though you paid $500,000 for this house, your house value may drop in the long run. That's not conduent to what I want to do and stuff like that. That's not what I'm trying to teach my kids and what I want to lead my kids and stuff in an area that may wind up. I ain't saying they're gonna have crime, but if you look at the national averages and stuff like that, truck stops have all kind of things that happen on the truck stop. You have prostitution, drugs, and stuff like that. You have different people coming in the community that's not in the community and stuff like that as well, that affects us as a whole and as a community. And I already know the people that stays with me and stuff like that in my neighborhood and everything like that. We all upper middle class personnel, and nobody want to take a hit on saying, okay, I want to put a truck stop right next door and it's gonna be hard. Just to get to this meeting today, it took me 5 minutes to get out of my subdivision. And I'm only like a few, because I think they, the new FedEx and everything, they got a new light probably about 500 feet away from my home already. And it's already, the traffic already building up. So and he said the truck stop supposed to minimize traffic. I don't see how. Because they're gonna actually increase traffic and stuff like that, because you're gonna have more 18-wheelers coming down here, or other vehicles coming this way and everything and stuff like that, and then increasing traffic in this area. So, I don't have anything left to say. I just wanted to voice my opinion about how I feel about it, and then how my family feel about it, because I was very upset, because at the end of the day, we all want to, the American dream is actually increased value. And even Olive Branch said they want to maintain your home value, not dissipate your home value and stuff like that. So I look at that as a whole, that we do, if y'all do go forward with this and stuff like that, it's basically a detriment to the public safety and stuff like that, because I got all kind of notes, research and stuff like that, what happens in the value of your home and everything like that. We can say it won't happen, but historical points say it happens all the time regardless. Noise pollution, none of y'all ain't gonna never buy a house right by a train track, and no one would buy a house right next to a truck stop, especially a $500,000 home.
Okay, thank you, sir, for
All
your
right, thank you.
comments. Appreciate your comments.
All right.
Anyone else wish to come forward? And once again, try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, please.
My name is Curtis Wiseman, the owner of the subdivision. I bless the Lord at all times with praise in my mouth. Who would put a service station or a truck stop in present of their yard, right in front of their yard, right in next to their houses? Nobody up there would vote for that, to put a subdivision or a truck stop in the subdivision. Now, the person that buying the land doesn't live in the subdivision. He doesn't live nearly where we live. We asked the board to vote it down. Vote it down. You wouldn't put it in yours. Treat us like you would want to be treated. Do unto others. Please vote it down.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to come forward, please?
My name is Adrian Murphy. I live at 10928 Wiseman Drive. And these folks behind me are my neighbors and my family. I've only been in Olive Branch a few years, and I absolutely loved it. I was born and raised in Memphis. It got to where I couldn't wait to get away from it. But I'm slowly seeing Olive Branch turning into a little Memphis, and it's really disheartening. I feel like I don't know if even being here is going to do any good, because I've lost that much faith in our leaders. I don't think that our leaders care about the people that voted them in. But I really wish you all would vote this down. You know what a truck stop will do. The crime has already picked up in Olive Branch. Just trying to get in and out of our subdivision is a nightmare now. I've come this close to getting hit head on trying to turn into my neighborhood from people pulling into the turning lane a half a mile before they need to turn to go to Amazon, and they come flying up the street. I've heard tires squealing, people almost getting rear-ended right there. And we don't need a truck stop. There are so many other places. It seems like all we want to do in Olive Branch is build warehouses and fast food. There's a lot more things we need besides those. And I wish someone would let me know why we're building more warehouses when we've got hundreds of them sitting vacant all over the immediate area. Makes no sense to me. I really wish you would think about voting this down. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And if you'll please remain quiet while everyone is making their presentations, we appreciate that.
My name's Rocky Murphy. That's my wife. I live at 10928 Wiseman Drive. We've been in that house now for 14 years. I moved out of Fox Meadows in Memphis. Came down here in 1999. I got relatives down here. I got married to her. She came down here with me after I'd already gotten down here. When we first bought that house, it was nice and quiet. Wasn't a whole lot of traffic on Hash Cross. I could walk out my front door and see deer standing in my front yard. I could hear hawks flying by, see owls out through there. You know what I see now? I come out in the morning, and I go to work early. I'm out there before the sun comes up. I walk out my front door and turn left. I see warehouses over. I hear trucks backing up. I hear equipment backing up those reverse alarms. Y'all understand that the County Board of Supervisors wanted to approve that in 2008. Never got no notice of it. I got a neighbor, it's Mr. Wiseman's mother. She lives in her other son's house. He gets in and out of his driveway by a traffic light on Progress Road. Nail Road was built first. My understanding, Polk Lane was supposed to go into Nail Lane, or Nail Road there, to have traffic going through there like that. My understanding, folks from Whispering Pines screamed and yelled over it. That's why Polk Lane wasn't extended. Got no word about Progress Road being built down through there like that. He has a white line in his driveway. That sensor where he pulls in, and that's how he gets in and out of his driveway. Would you like that in yours? You know, you want to come outside in the morning, see 18-wheelers going up down through there? And like my wife said, everybody said, it's hard to get in and out of our subdivision now. It's hard. Property value's going to go down. That's true. Now, I got friends that work with OBPD. They tell me about what goes on at Flying J. You know, I'm not stupid. I know what goes on there. You go up around these warehouses off Polk Lane and all down in there, look at the trash on the side of the road. Garbage thrown out through there. I work for the county road department. We used to cut that before y'all took over that part. I can tell you what it looks like over there. I can tell you what I saw. Y'all put that truck stop in there like that, what do you think's going to happen at Hash Cross? You know, what do you think? And again, like I was asked you for, do y'all want this in your front yard? I don't. I don't at all. You know, Olive Branch has changed. I remember back in the 1970s when I used to come out here. I remember how it changed when I moved out here in 99. I see how it is now. You know, now y'all look at me. Y'all think I ain't nothing. I got 4 years Marine Corps, 33 years post office. Now I work for the DeSoto County Road Department. I don't drink, don't do drugs. I don't do anything illegal. I believe in right or wrong. If y'all approve this, that's wrong. Y'all the ones that have to live with it on y'all's conscience. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else wish to come forward?
How are y'all today? My name is Corey Wiseman, 6522 Hex Cross Road. It's the property just north of Wiseman Drive neighborhood. And gentleman to my right has already said that it's been approved for a store to be there and a service station. Is there any way that you could make the entranceway off of Progress Way as opposed to off of Hacks Cross, and have there be no entranceways off of Hacks Cross to enter the new facility? And also, is there a way that you could put, what do they call it, a solid wall? It's a tall wall that you may see around the interstate that protects houses from the sounds of the cars and that are traveling down the road. Those are my concerns,
All right.
along with theirs.
That's good. Thank you so much for your comments. Anyone else wish to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Melissa Chisholm, and I live at 10931 Carter Lane Cove. I have been a resident of Olive Branch for approximately 50 years. I lived in Memphis 2 years outside of that in my 20s. I came back to Olive Branch because I loved Olive Branch. I live in Magnolia Lakes, and I was never told about the truck stop until I got a notice from my friend and my family. I was never informed of Progress Way. I was never informed of John Deere, and I was never informed of the other road next to John Deere. So now my little house, I hear Jake brakes, motorcycles racings, cars racing, more emergency vehicles than I have ever heard. And talk about not getting to sleep. There is no sleep. I'm 3 houses from Hacks Cross. The traffic is horrendous at this point. And Olive Branch has just went from small town beautiful to just overpopulated, and there's just way too much things going up and around. And I noticed on the gentleman's slide, there were about, which I can't see it, but I think there's 9 other options of what can be built on that property, and you have to choose a truck stop. I do believe a daycare was one of them. I believe we could use a daycare. I'm not sure what the other ones were because it's kind of small, but I know there are other options for that property. And a truck stop would just, like everybody else says, property value, but noise level for me right now. I work from home now. I look out my window, and the traffic on my little street, which has no speed bumps, people go 50 miles an hour from the stop sign to the cove because they went the wrong way. And then they do 50 miles an hour back from the cove to the stop sign. And people turning around, and we have kids all in our neighborhood. And a truck stop would just be, it would be such a tragedy for everybody, I think. Thank y'all for your time.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Debbie Lineberger. I live at 6307 Oak Circle West in the Magnolia Lake subdivision. Melissa is my neighbor. Most of these people are my neighbors. We live very closely next to each other. And I also work in logistics, so I see what the impact of 18-wheelers, I see the impact of truck stops, these warehouses, logistics, all of this. This is not something we want in our neighborhood. As Melissa has stated, we have a lot of little children in our neighborhood. And it's wonderful to see little kids out in the yard playing. They feel safe. They feel safe playing in their yard. Their parents feel safe with them playing in their yard. We all kind of watch out for each other. Now you go putting in that truck stop, as everyone knows, truck stops are not exactly family friendly. Bad things happen there. That is right across the street from not one, but 2 subdivisions. That is going to bring a criminal element into our safe little neighborhoods, and I know that you guys wouldn't want that in yours. Would you like your granddaughter out there playing around and some less than desirable person walking up and down the street? I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. There's a lot of other options you could do here. I really honestly believe that truck stop is the worst decision you could make for our little area of Olive Branch. Just think on it.
Okay, thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to come forward?
Yeah, I'm here in support of my family and my neighbors. I'll be real brief. I just think this is one of the worst ideas on earth. If I had any idea.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Quentin King. I live at 10898 Wiseman.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's one of the worst ideas. If I had even knew that something like this was gonna come up in the area that I just purchased a home in, never would have put my family in that position. Because it's an area, it's a street now, it's very quiet. It's so new that sometimes people even turn down the street thinking it's a through street, turn around and go back out. With this truck stop coming up, it's just opening us up to danger.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward and make a comment? If not, does the applicant wish to make a response? Mr. Jones, do you wish to come forward and make comments, final comments?
I would just like to say that I understand the comments and concerns that have been presented here tonight. The proposal was not intended to adversely affect property values. The zoning was in place and has been in place. The neighborhood and the people that it's going to service will be as a result of current zoning in the industrial area. It's the light, there was no light there. Progress Way was not there at that time. There's the growth, good, bad, or otherwise, unfortunately, dictates that, you know, traffic flows and highest and best usage change. That's just, in a nutshell, it would intended to be done in good taste. The traffic flow, the light, the accessibility to 269 to I-22, 178. Those are the reasons that it's in our opinion that it has changed, and the highest and best used is for that purpose. And I think the plan, comprehensive plan, it's in accordance with that as well. So, again, that's really all I can add.
Okay. Do the commissioners, y'all have any questions of Mr. Johnson? If not, thank you so much.
Okay, thank y'all.
Okay, does
Thank you, sir.
staff
If I
wish
may
to make any
respond,
comments?
if I may respond to some of the issues that were raised in terms of lighting from the side, with kind of stepping back, as I did indicate at the beginning, the characterization of this as a truck stop can be a bit deceptive. If you have a piece of property that is zone residential, for example, and you have a request to totally change its use to a truck stop, in other words, you're now going to have a gas station with a building, with lights, with trucks going in and out, and all of that, that really falls in the world of, you know, zoning, rezoning, so to speak. And there, your review is going to be different. In this particular case, the concerns that you are looking at are things that are already permitted on the property by rights, and things that are actually already happening. For example, trucks going into the traffic concern that was raised in terms of, you know, people having difficulties going out of the subdivision around there because of the existence of the park. This doesn't take the park away. It doesn't affect the presence, the existence of the park in any way. You're still going to have the park there. You're still going to have trucks going in and trucks going out. The difference you may have, though, is Instead of having trucks, why is this not showing? It shouldn't have been on here. Just give me a second, please. My screen is different from the one you have there, so I'm having a bit of a difficulty. Doesn't change. Right. I'm sorry, I may just have to explain this. It's showing on my end. Okay.
No,
all
sir.
right. It works now. Thank
Sir,
you.
our public
So-
discussion is now closed. We're having a discussion with the staff on this.
Sorry about that, this technology sometime. To kind of get back to my chain of thought, currently, and in doing this application, one of the things that I did was, especially with regard to crime, as a family person myself, I'm very concerned about that. One of the two things that I did was, I went to Quick Trip. Quick Trip is kind of new, and I just kind of find out what's happening there with the folks that are parking there, you know. Is it new? Where were they parking before? Because Quick Trip functions basically like what is being proposed here. And most of them, some of them, I actually spoke to two folks that came from doing delivery on this side in Legacy Park and then went down there. That is the traffic you're having on the road. Okay? Because you don't have anything in this particular area. That's the traffic that you're having in the road. You've got 6 million square foot of industrial warehousing in this area, plus about 4 other lots that have been 2 other lots, this and the one directly above it, that have also been approved for industrial warehouses. They have just not been constructed yet because of the market condition. And you don't have such services that are being provided to them. They're going to drive from here to elsewhere. That is what is putting the traffic on the road. The best planning principle is to provide them their own services within their industrial park area, such that instead of getting back on Hack, when they come down on Progress Way, they can get back on Silo Drive, get to Park Lane, 302, and get out of the city instead of going down on Hacks and creating all that traffic. There is a suggestion that somebody raised, before I address that, the element of light. The city's regulations in the design review ordinance stipulates that any lights from any commercial development cannot spill out of that site. So when the applicant submits their full set of construction plans, they have to do a set of photometric plans. Those plans must show that at the property line, you will have 0 foot candles, 0. If the neighborhood finds that you have lights, of any amount of lights, spilling from this side onto your property, across the road, or even into the road, you raise that complaint with us, code enforcement will go out and measure it, and the applicant will be required to bring down the lights. So that is code enforcement. It's in the city's regulations. In terms of noise, the city also has a noise ordinance Whether cars or no cars, the city has a noise ordinance that controls how many decibels of noise you can produce in particular areas at what times of the day. That, no matter who you are, no matter where the development is, the city, the police department enforces that. So that takes care of the noise element. Notices, we've had a couple of folks bring up the element of folks not receiving notices within neighborhood. We're required to send those notices within a certain radius, and Heather does a very good job in sending that out. So sometimes you have situations where one neighbor may receive, the other one may not receive, just because you are outside of that particular radius. In terms of home value, I just quickly put together this slide. Pull up this slide. This is in the county. This Center Hill Drive, city limit, Center Hill Drive. You have this convenience store. It's in the C4 district. The same project text is written exactly, was actually done by Bob Dohoff, I think. The language basically reads the same as you have in this Dancing Oak subdivision. When they went in and they put this gas station and this fueling and all of that, the trucks that park behind here, out here in the county, they didn't even have to do a project text amendment. They didn't even have to do a project text amendment. So, and this has had, I have checked the property values factor, it has had no effect on these $1 million, $500,000 houses in this particular area. I've checked all of that. It has had no effect. If property values reduce, planners generally, we would not recommend that because that implies taking away taxes from the city. We will not be in favor of that. That concludes the elements I wanted to clarify. Staff is available to answer any question you may have.
Yeah, couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Can you better define truck stop?
A truck stop, as defined in the zoning ordinance, is an establishment which primary use, the primary use of that particular location has to be for the fueling of trucks, for the servicing of trucks. That is the primary use.
And so is that based on gallons? Is that based on dollar? Can you have a gas station that it's already approved for a convenience store with gas pumps? Could they open a convenience store with gas pumps and also have pumps that fuel trucks?
Yes.
Semi trucks. And so when is the breakdown? And then the second question is the truck parking, does that influence the decision to call it a truck stop?
Because of the change we made last year, which created this gray area, it's really because of the change the board made in the zoning ordinance last year that kind of created this area, but didn't really clarify it for C4 properties. When you have it in other zoning districts, it's pretty clear because you just go to Board of Zoning Adjustment. They treat it just like they treat gas stations. Mm-hmm. All they need to do is to make sure that the property is at least 2 acres, and that also is within a truck route, half a mile of a truck route, and it's done. The only thing you have here is that because you have a project X involved, then it comes in front of you for you to basically make that same determination which Board of Zoning Adjustment would have made. You know, that's really where you have a bit of that gray area, is that it involves a project text. Mm-hmm. And when something involves a project text, that does not go to Board of Zoning Adjustment. It comes to Planning Commission and the Board of Aldermen for you to determine that, yes, the property has got is minimum 2 acres, in this case it's 7 acres, and that secondly, you have got, it is within the half a mile radius. Mm-hmm. In this case, of course, Hacks Cross Road and Progress Way are all truck routes.
Right. And I think it's the terminology truck stop.
Yeah.
Right. And it drives a question. I think the original question was there's 16 parking stalls. Is that how many they're going to be? And if we said no to that, they could section off a piece of the property and say, all right, we're going to just park 16
on the other
trucks,
side.
just park 16 trucks there, and they get to the same result. It is, Can you sell gas there now currently? Yes. Can you sell gas to semi-trucks? Yes. If we said no to this, they could still open a convenience store with a gas station with fuel pumps to service trucks and maybe just carve out. But I think it is the project text piece that's the only thing that's got us, the only thing that's got anyone in here tonight. If it wasn't a requirement for the project text, this would roll out without any discussion. So, is there any number of trucks, must you have 16 parking stalls for trucks?
I would have to defer that to the engineer.
Mhm.
As far as the exact number of parking spaces, I would think that could probably be, conceptually, I would think that could probably be adjusted somewhat.
Mhm.
I don't know where that number exactly came from, but it's an indication of the area that we need on that site.
Copy. All right.
Yeah, just a couple of questions I had for staff and then for the applicant as well. One thing I wanted to reiterate, that looking at this conceptual design that we have, if you could put that up there right now. There we go. If you were to draw a line basically going north-south right in between that C-store and the diesel islands that they have in the back, they could build all that tomorrow and they wouldn't need anything, right? So really the issue comes in is with the diesel islands and the parking space, I guess, is what is where the differentiation between C-store and truck stop is really coming in. And when you split up a whole separate canopy, adding that second canopy kind of classifies it as, I mean, you are increasing truck traffic at the site.
You could fuel diesel.
Yeah.
You know, and I know what I was stopping. In terms of number, something that was brought up that kind of caught my attention. You could, if the board wanted to go that route, you know, and say, reduce the number 16, right? When I look at this, okay, if I'm driving, you're going to have these trees out here. That is your buffer. That is a significant visual buffer into the site. You have all these street trees. I'm looking at it like when we design warehouses, and you have all the street trees that are planted. What really make those warehouses from the road and so on not to look imposing, gigantic, and kind of ugly, your street trees that are planted. You have street trees planted basically right up to that driveway. You could have a situation where, if it please the board could say, we're not going to permit truck stops beyond where truck parking, you know, because it's just like a parking lot, like a normal parking lot you have on the other side. You could say you're not going to permit any kind of parking beyond where the street trees end, which would be at about this point, and that will reduce you to about 10, you know. So
another question I had is, I know one of the concerns brought up by everybody was traffic, and I mean, I get it, you don't want, it would be a little difficult to have trucks taking left turns there on the Hacks Cross. Would the applicant be okay if we made one of the entrances on Hacks Cross, the one that primarily would service semis and trucks? This is probably a question for Mr. Houston, but if we made that a right in, right out, the northernmost entrance, so that way you don't have any trucks. Whatever trucks are on that site, they're not going to impact the subdivision across the street. Would that be something doable? That should be fine. Yeah, because that way, if all your trucks are entering from Progress Way and they're going out of Hacks Cross, they can only take that right turn out of there. You won't have any truck traffic coming to the left, and it wouldn't be affecting the traffic into the subdivision at all.
A better way to design that, you may say create a traffic problem if you do that right in, right out. The reason being, Hacks Cross Road is a 5-lane road with a middle turn lane.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this right in, right out only, traffic coming down, going south, will have to get to this stoplight, make a left turn lane to enter from Progress Way into the site. So
no, we leave one of them as the 36-foot wide.
Okay, you leave this one.
You leave the primary one,
okay.
the southernmost entrance. You give them one, and that one's open. People can take a left turn, which will predominantly be cars, traffic going into the front. I actually like how Mr. Houston, you separated the car traffic area from the diesel traffic area, so where
Yeah.
trucks are pretty much in the backside. But with that right in, right out, if we make at least one of those entrances a right in, right out, the one that's dedicated to truck traffic, that would alleviate, I think, a lot of concerns.
I think that can work.
And then also for the parking stalls, could we make a stipulation that there's no overnight parking? Because I don't think that that would, 16 stalls is not really enough to be an overnight parking lot type of business, I think, but it would be enough to where, okay, if you're waiting for dispatch on a load, if you're gonna be there for an hour or so, it's totally different from being there all night and whatnot. So I think that would be, if we had that stipulation in there, I think that would alleviate a lot of concerns as well. Would that be possible to do that? No.
You could. It will come down to enforcement. It comes down to, sometimes I don't want to overpromise from reality, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
I would, cutting this off and reducing the number, which of course will also have an impact on traffic, you know, by reducing the number, and then having a situation where the trucks, wherever they are parked, are behind a buffer line of trees, may be more enforceable, something that we can promise and you will actually have. The other alternative may be tough when it comes to enforcement.
One other thing that I just thought about, you mentioned Quick Trip. At Quick Trip, they have an increased amount of truck lanes, and they have a lot of diesel islands there, right? So you're not stacking too many trucks going back behind each other. With this layout, I think that would be a little bit of a concern with truck traffic backing up into Progress Way. Because I think from the looks of this, you could probably get maybe 3 or 4 tractor trailers backed up to each other. So if we could increase that stacking capacity to maybe 8 or 9, so we're not backing up into the street when they're waiting to get diesel and stuff like that, that would be
I think
good as well.
that's something that the engineer can
Yeah.
adjust as they work on the plan.
And I'm right in saying that all of this will have to come with a final plat to us for final approval, am I right?
The plat will come before you, but not the site plan. The site plan is going, any changes that you request that should be made. For example, you know, increasing the stacking lane, making that right in, right out only. If that gets approved, that'll be the recommendation of the planning commission. It gets approved by the board. Then the civil engineer will revise and submit in a full set of plans for staff's administrative approval. What will come back before you will be the final plat. And in the final plat, you can also make certain infrastructural conditions. For example, you can also put on the final plat that entrance into this property will be right in, right out only. You know, that becomes binding. What that really means is, even if you don't have a truck there tomorrow, and it's some other development that shows up, they will have to go right in, right out only. But if you don't have that on the plat, then, you know, it can remain open. So you still have the opportunity to make certain decisions with respect to site design and infrastructure.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I will now entertain any comments, discussion, or motions from the commissioners.
Having heard many of the concerns here tonight and the discussion that this board has had, I would like to make a motion that we table this application until the applicant and the staff can maybe take these concerns of the board and of the people and work on this and come back before us.
Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Remack to table this to allow time for staff and also the applicant to come up with the concerns that were mentioned tonight and represent it to the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second by Mr. Stratton. Any further discussion?
Real
No further discussion.
quick, the only thing that is on the table right now is whether or not we approve the condition, the change of the project text, not any design or anything like that, correct?
What I would like to get from the board is the intention is to table these, so we get some clarity. The intention is to table these for the engineer to bring back a site plan that shows ride in, ride out only, that moves the canopy to provide for more storage. Those are two things. I want to be sure that now we know what we're bringing back to the board.
And then the number of parking spaces for trucks, I think something was brought up. So.
Yeah, so just to generalize it, I mean, I guess it would be to address the concerns of traffic, crime, and ingress and egress, really. I guess that would be it. I mean, the use is what it is, but yeah, the traffic, the point's made basically by everybody that was speaking.
I think you could, Mr. Chairman, I believe that it would be within the board's purview to require that the site plan be updated and that it be made part or incorporated into the plan development. Obviously, it would be a preliminary development plan. There would be some items that would have to be finalized, but you certainly can make that your intent with going forward with this for next month, so.
Okay.
Alternatively, you could, if you were to go that route, if those are the elements, you could require that those changes be made. You've done so on many other applications before the preliminary site plan goes before the Board of Aldermen. In that case, what you really be saying is, we're not hearing this again, but before you can take this to the Board of Aldermen, the site plan must be changed to incorporate these specific changes. You've done that in some other, in other applications. It's to your discretion.
Of course, right now we have before us a motion to table this, to have further information to come to us, and I guess help me to clarify exactly what we're having to be sent, so they'll know.
I second.
Oh, wait a minute, we need to make sure we got this motion. And
I think Mr. Jones and Mr. Singh made those. Do you want to say those again in my motion to include those? So I amend my motion to include
You mean,
those.
so they address those and then bring it back to us?
Yes.
Okay, gosh, just address some of the points that we brought up here.
So reduce the number of spaces. I want to get them very clear so I can know what I'm bringing, what is coming back before the board.
Right.
Reduce the number of spaces, increase the stacking, and then thirdly, change the driveway to ride in, ride out only.
The northernmost.
Change northern driveway to northern ride out only.
Thank you.
And include the preliminary site plan as part of the project text.
Yes, this was included already, so they will just basically update this and include that in the plan.
so, Ms. Remack, you made the first. Do you agree with what was
Yes, I
mentioned?
do.
And Mr. Stratton, you agree with that on your second? Okay, we have the motion and seconded to table it to be brought back to the Planning Commission with the changes that were mentioned. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then the motion carries, and this will be tabled to the next, until it's presented at the next meeting. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So this will be tabled until it's brought back to the Planning Commission, so we will not decide tonight. Okay, item number 8 is an application for a final plat for Robinson Crossing Commerce Center, Area 1, submitted by Byron Houston Engineering PLLC, on behalf of property owners Bridgeforth R.R. heirs. The request is to subdivide 6.08 plus or minus acres into 2 commercial lots, common open space, and right-of-way. The subject property is zoned C4 Planned Commercial District and is located at the northeast corner of Church Road East and Pleasant Hill Road North.
Sir, a few comments on this particular application. As you mentioned in the title, it is an application to subdivide a little bit over 6 acres located at the northeast corner of Church and Pleasant Hill Road. You can see it highlighted in red on the slide. And you may be somewhat familiar with this property. This is the next step in development to do a subdivision pursuant to the zoning approval that you granted for this property back in September. You reviewed and approved it, and then the Board of Aldermen approved a project text and master plan for 92 acres called the Robinson Crossing Commerce Center, and that 92 acres is shown on the slide, and you're between Church and Sandage, Latham Drive, and Pleasant Hill. So you can see the perspective of our subject property for subdivision within the broader context of the master plan. The intent is to create a basically a 2-acre commercial parcel at the hard corner, or lot, I should say, at the hard corner to develop a C-store. No truck stop associated with it, just a standard C-store. And you probably recall that discussion that you had when the PD project text was working its way through the system earlier in the fall. This shows you the master plan that you approved for the 92 acres, and this shows you the preliminary development plan for these 2 areas, and the subject property that we're talking about is what's Area 1 or Phase 1 of the project, and that's highlighted here. There's no building that would be imminent on this proposed lot 2, but this would be where the C-store would go and the fuel pumps there facing Church Road. This next slide just shows you an overhead aerial slide of the subject property as it currently exists. As you can see, it's currently treed, and there's ditches and whatnot running through it, but it's basically a natural area at its current time. And then this next slide shows you what the split of the property is proposed through the subdivision. Again, you have Lot 1, which is 1.97 acres, again, the site for the C-store. You have Lot 2 that's to the north, that's just over 2 acres in size. And again, there's a ditch that's going to need to be relocated, and they're showing that in a 0.33 acre common open space that would run through here. And then we have 2 areas of right-of-way dedication. One is along the Pleasant Hill Road right-of-way, and that's 1.38 acres in size that would be dedicated on that plat as city right-of-way. And then we have a second right-of-way dedication for the access road that would provide the entrance to the C-store in this property that's a little bit under a 1/4 acre in size, and that would be aligned with the driveway that's right at the eastern edge of this multi-bay retail center. Just to talk a little bit about that, this again goes back to your master plan, and I don't know if you all are aware of the project to widen Pleasant Hill Road, but it's in the design stages right now, and the idea is that that would be funded through our Metropolitan Planning Organization on an 80-20 basis, basically federal funds that would fund 80% of that widening, and the project includes landscape medians. And so you can see, and it's going to be basically a 4-lane divided highway with 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south, and the landscape medians in the center. And part of the idea of having those medians is to control access into the site. So you can see on this plan that you approved a couple months ago that the southern, or the one access point is right in, right out only, that would provide access to the C-store. And then the one to the north, this is what's called a directional median. So you can go right in, right out on that one. You can go left in at that one, but you cannot go left out. And then we have a connecting parking lots here that would bring you connecting between these 2 entrance points and across. This shows you the location of the ditch that again is in a common open space, a relocated ditch. And then this would be the area of right-of-way that there'd be a road stubbed out. So again, if you were here at the fuel station to be able to go southbound on Pleasant Hill Road, you would need to go back out here on Church and get into the left-hand turn lane and make that movement. There's no way to make a left out from either side. Now eventually, with this plan, this road will be extended all the way up to Latham Drive, and that is the first full access median that's shown on the plans.
And so this next slide just superimposes the plat drawing over top the current landscape out there, and this area that's shown in gray is a 24-foot wide cross-access easement, and that's shown on the plat. And again, that just kind of shows you your cross connections between these lots to be able to get over to that right-of-way that's going to be aligned with the one directly across the street. So we have a recommended motion to approve and forward that approval recommendation to the Board of Aldermen. As far as the conditions, I'll talk about a couple of them. Number 4, we need to make sure that, like on any plat, every piece of property on a plat has to be identified. Is it going to be public right-of-way? Is it going to be private right-of-way? Is it going to be a lot for development? Or is it going to be a common open space? And that property needs to have an owner. So in this case, the applicant's going to need to form a property owners association for the Robinson Crossing Commerce Center. And basically that piece of property, that common open space, would be dedicated on the plat to that property owners association. It's identified for its purpose, which of course is stormwater drainage, and it's identified as to who's going to maintain it, which would be the property owners association. And so what we need on number 5 is, prior to getting this plat recorded, we're going to need proof of incorporation of that property owners association, and we'd like to see the draft CCRs for the subdivision to make sure there are some private controls over that as well. Number 7 is a little bit different. Normally with projects, we would have the developer do the frontage improvements, but in this particular case, because this is a city project that's going to extend this 4-lane divided highway all the way from Church Road down to just beyond Nail Road, it's a situation where the city's taking on that expense. So essentially, we're saying, and you saw a memo from the city engineering department, that those frontage improvements that would normally be required in the absence of such a project will not be required of the developer. Now, one thing on number 8 that we are asking them to do is to also dedicate the right-of-way, whether it be part of this plat or through a separate instrument, all the way from that northernmost entranceway that you saw on Lot 2 all the way up to Latham Drive. So you would get right-of-way dedication along the full western boundary of the 92 acres, which would be sufficient to be able to provide the city with that. So that would be something that the city would not necessarily need to purchase in the future. And then, of course, by dedicating that right-of-way, in turn, the developer would be absolved essentially from having to do those frontage improvements along the roadway. And that concludes the staff presentation. I can answer any questions, and Mr. Houston's here as well, representing the applicant.
Okay. Any questions, staff? No questions. Mr. Houston, wish to come forward and represent the application?
Mississippi, 38655, and I'm Houston Engineering's my firm. I'm representing Mr. Bridgeforth on this project, and we agree to all of the stipulations presented in the planning report, and we will either revise the plat to reflect the rest of the right-of-way going north, or either we'll get another plat and description together to donate it to the city.
Yeah. Any questions?
Any questions?
No questions, and thank you.
Okay. I think we hammered all that out a couple months ago.
We did. Now open for public discussion. Anyone here wishes to speak in favor or against this application? If not, then public discussion is closed, and I will now just entertain any comments or discussion or motions from the commissioners.
I'll make a motion to approve based on staff's recommendations.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Singh to approve based on staff recommendations, and have a second by Ms. Remack. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then the motion carries and the application is approved. All right. And then next on our agenda is public working session on zoning tentative. So we'll see what that means.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, there we go. All right. So we have who made the motion to adjourn? We need a motion to adjourn then.
You need one?
Yeah.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, Mr. Jones, motion to adjourn. We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Singer, second. All those in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? And we are adjourned.